Okay, now we are recording. We are here. Hi, everybody. Krystal here, and this is Nanette. And
Hi.
and I've had a few questions about Audacity and just dealing with files once you have them in the system. And instead of just sending you a bunch of screenshots or adding more to the course, I thought, why don't we just go through a demonstration? And then she's going to ask any questions that she has as she's starting to get more familiar with the software. That way we can just address them as we go along. So I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm going to share this one. Okay, so let's first get into Audacity. There's my babies. Okay, so this is just a brand new record that I created. And what I'm going to do first is, if I wanted to, I could, hey, I'm going to record a file. This is me talking, blah, 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 blah. So that is what you would have whenever you are recording your podcast. And what I want to do now is, do you want to start with music, or do you want to start with importing something?
I guess for me, my questions are, when you're doing your intro or you're doing your outro, I can import the music. I think that, you know, in the class, the instructions were very clear on that. But how do you put your music with your voiceover where it kind of fades in or it kind of fades out, depending on if you put it in front or the beginning, okay? Or the end.
Okay, so for me, and this is discussed in the music lesson. I think it's in lesson 4. But I have, so let me just go ahead and import it. Right here, we'll go to, oh, it's actually right here. So I have 2 separate files, right? I don't know why it imported this way, but I have the Rookie podcast, which is the main music, and it's longer. And then I have the podcast sweeper, which is if you listen to the podcast, you'll hear it like the last 5 seconds of the entire episode. So I can select both of those at once and go ahead and click open.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so if you have multiple files at one time, let's say you recorded your intro, your outro, your episode, the bio for the person that you're interviewing or whatever, you could import all 7 files at one time if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Here, I want to turn on where you can see me. Hang on, how do I?
I can see you.
Okay.
I can see both of us right here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so if I'm going to do my my show, and say I already have the intro with the voiceover done, is it better to record everything completely separate and then bring everything together?
So that's personal preference. If you don't want to deal with like the editing of what I'm about to show you, and you want to just do it all at the same time, then you can. Again, it just goes back to your show format and how you want to have it set up. For me personally, it's all separate files. Only because it's easier for me to edit something when it's like a minute long. So the introduction to the podcast, let's say it's, hi, everyone, Krystal Proffitt here. This is episode 4, and we're talking about blah, 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 stop. And then the next part would be, either a self-sponsored ad or something like that. And then I would have minute clips leading up to the big dog, like 30-minute long interview. And then at the very end, I would have the outro for the episode. But I mean, you could record, let's say the very beginning of your show is like 5 minutes. You could record that entire thing. But for me personally, because I have my music in there, I want to have the music playing at the last 10 to 12 seconds of my introduction. So then I slip the music in underneath that, and then I add everything else chronologically and where it goes. So, but I can walk you through that entire process of what I do here, and then you can decide on whether, no, I don't want to do that, or, you want to adapt some things and not do some of the other ones. So, but what I have here, so I have this little audio track that I recorded, which, this obviously is not going to be an actual episode, but just to kind of recap, if you're here and you have your cursor, I was about to point to the screen, like you can see my hand and my, like everything like here, but you see my cursor here. I'm going to go up here to the select tool or the time shift tool. And then that's when you can grab stuff. So I can grab my music and drag it. I want that one to be here, and I want this one to play, at the end of this one. This is what I typically do when I put all of my files into one Audacity file by itself. And then I'll go down, and when I import, here's another like really quick tip. You can see the name over here on the left-hand side of the screen. That is the name of the file. So it's very important when you're naming or when you're saving your files to name them properly to what you would recognize them as. So for example, when I name something, this is for the music, so it says Rookie Podcasting, but let me open a file to where I can show you. Let's go into an episode here. Let's try Naya, right? So here you can see I have the intro saved separately. Then I have her intro. This is the actual interview, and then this is her outro. So the way I have it saved, I know, let's grab her outro. Oh, never mind. It thinks I'm trying to start another document. Hang on. I'm getting crazy here. It's because I clicked open and not import. That's another important thing to mention. So here, I'm going to grab her. I went back to import. Okay. And so now, if I go all the way up, I can see, okay, that's the audio track I recorded. Here's my music. Here's my music. Where's her file? That didn't work for me, of course. It's not going to work that way. Let's grab a different one. Let's do Tammy's. Here's Tammy's intro. I'm going to import that. And so now you can see this is her introduction. And what you can do, because I can't work like spatially in my mind, I can't work with things that are like, okay, this one's here and then this one's here. Like it's really confusing for me. So what I'll do is come over here to the side where it says episode intro. And if you can't read the entire name, you can click this down arrow and you can click on name to see what it is. And then it will tell you, okay, this is what this is. And then okay, I need this to be at the very top. I don't need it to be at the bottom. That's where I want my outro to be. So what you can do is this down arrow, I'll click it, and you can click move up or move the track to the top, which is what I'm going to do because it's part of the intro. So you see it moved it all the way to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then if this were, let's say, a self-sponsored ad or something. And another thing is that it's really zoomed in right now. So you can zoom in and zoom out on your audio. So I'm going to zoom out so I can see it better and I can move things easier. So I want this to be at the end of this one, and that yellow line, you see that, how it pops up? Mm-hmm. That indicates that you're at the end of the last one. So, like, okay, if you want your music to start or to stop at the same time that this section does, then that's where you would put it. So let me get this all set up so we can talk music. And you can, I don't know if you saw how that happens. You can put tracks all on one. I don't suggest doing that only because then you lose the name of it. Like what if you had 4 of them together and you're like, wait, which one is which? Like, I don't understand which name that is. That's my personal preference again. But, if that works for you, then I think that's awesome. Do what works for you. But okay, so now we have it where it's all flowing. You can see that this whole clip is going to be about, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And now let's go back. This is my music clip. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through what I do whenever I'm creating the adjustable fade, which is the only effect that I do. You know, you open this effects tab and you're like, oh my gosh, there's too many, like, what do I pick? What do I do? And you can play around with anything that you want to. However, I don't know what they all do. I really don't. I only deal with the adjustable fade, which is right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to click on adjustable fade, and there are screenshots of this in the course, but I leave this. I don't know what your computer or your Audacity will default to, but mine goes to 95%. And this S curve.
And that was I'm sorry.
Do
so
what?
You clicked on, I'm looking at mine too. So I went on to effect.
Okay.
And I don't see adjustable fade.
Okay.
There. Oh, there it is, but it's not highlighted. That's because I don't have anything up there.
Right. So you could go ahead and hit record real fast and record a quick file. That way you can, mess with something while we're going along. So you can go ahead and do that right now. Just say something. Say, hey, my name's Nanette.
Hey. Okay.
And then hit stop.
So that one's.
Yeah. So now you should be able to go through this process.
Yeah. Okay. So if I import my audio, which I'll just do that one. Okay. And then I pick the time shift and go there. Okay. Got it. I'm with you.
Okay.
And
so
I got to effect. Sorry. Now everything's black.
Okay. And now one thing you want to remember is, because if you have more than one file, you want to make sure you grab the right one. And the way you can tell is over here on the left, it's highlighted blue and it's white over here. You want to make sure, because I've done accidentally when I was editing, I made it fade out in the interview. And I was like, why does this sound so weird? And I couldn't figure it out. And it's because I had applied the adjustable fade. And I want you to look at the actual blue lines, like the sound waves. So watch what happens, because I want y'all to start being able to edit, to find out what's wrong. It's almost like solving a puzzle, right? When you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to change? What's off? Something doesn't sound right. And when you're looking at the wavelengths that are, the audio files, you can see whenever you've applied the fade. So the fade type, I just do up. You can do fade up, fade down. But what that means is it's going to be small when it first starts, and then it's going to get bigger. So that means it's just going to get louder as time goes on. So that's the one that I choose for mine.
Okay. So if the one that's not light blue, white, what does that mean? And the one that underneath that is blue, what does that mean?
What do you mean in the Audacity?
Here where you said where the name is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where the name is, on the top one that I'm seeing right now, it says mute sub, and then underneath that it says Rookie Podcast, and then that one's light blue. And then the one under that looks like it's white. So the one that's light blue, that's the one that is chosen?
Correct. Yeah. So if you look at my screen, it's light blue over here on the left side, but the actual audio file is white in the background.
Okay.
So so it's kind of confusing. So if it's light blue on the left where the name is, and then the actual audio file is white, because if you look at these other ones at the top, that one's white. These don't, it's just almost like a muted background. You can't even, there's no background.
Okay.
But that's just how you know which file you've chosen, or that you've chosen the right one.
Okay.
So, so then you have the S curve, this. I don't mess with any of these other options. I feel like that's a little more technical, and I'm not that technical. I just want the fade to be exactly, where I want it to happen. So you can do a preview if you want. And then I just click OK, and then you'll watch it. It'll take it a little bit, depending if you have a long file. It might take longer. It could take 2 seconds for the one. If you have a clip that's like 5 seconds, it won't take long at all. Okay, so do you see the physical lines got smaller?
Okay.
So you can tell right here, like, okay, it faded up proper, or it faded, you know, it shrunk down where it needed to, and then it's going to get louder as the music goes on.
Okay.
So for the sake of showing you how, if you wanted to do an intro and then have your music, I'm going to move this one up. So that's my music track. I'm going to move this one over. And now I'm going to move it to where I want to hear it. So for my podcast, I say what the rookie life is all about. You know, we're all about starting new things, learning new skills. That's when I start my music. So I don't do it before then, the music. And there's no music at the very beginning. And here we go. Okay. So if I wanted to play whatever this, I don't even remember what this audio was. Oh, okay. It was an episode introduction. So it's playing. Can y'all hear that or no?
No.
Okay.
Can you turn it up?
No, it's because my headphones are plugged in. Let me unplug my headphones for a second.
The comments you want to
Can you hear that?
You can tell other people what you think of the show. You can tell me topics that you want to hear us
So you'll
talk
hear the
about
music
here on
fade
the
in.
podcast, or just comment with which episode is your favorite. But you have to leave a comment to be considered for the drawing. I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to get some really cool stuff, because who knows what the prize will be next time.
But it's too loud, in my opinion.
Out of the way.
So you just drag it back?
So because, let me plug this back in so it's easier for me to hear you. So if your music is too loud, once you have it imported, and this is something I learned months later. I wish I would have known this at the beginning, but these volume controls over here can control how loud your music is.
Okay.
So I'm still on the highlighted music, and these volume controls, honestly, you're just going to have to play with it and see what your preference is for your music. I bring mine down to like negative 15 decibels. Because it just gets so loud where my voice totally drowns out. And y'all know I'm loud. So, I mean, it takes a lot to drown my voice out, but it does. And so I have learned to adjust the music to where you can still hear my voice, but the music is subtly in the background. And it's not like someone's walking, in the gym, they're listening to your podcast, and all of a sudden they're like, like I got to rip my earbuds out because the music gets too loud. So you want to be aware of that during the editing process.
But when you do that over in the little box underneath what the name is, that's for the whole track.
That's for that track, yes, for the specific one that is highlighted.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, let's say you recorded something and you talked to someone who, you were on an interview with someone who spoke very softly, or you recorded something and it was too soft, you could always make it louder over here as well. I think that that's just something that you're going to have to play around with and see. So that's the music volume, and that's doing the effects. One of the other things that we wanted to talk about was exporting. So let me go back to, if this were a file, I'm going to line them up with the yellow lines. And this is exactly what I do. Like if I have all these files, I just line them up. And then when you go up here to the top, because you're like, okay, I don't want to start from the beginning every time. Like I was working in the middle of the section. This is the quick play button. So you can click wherever. I don't know. Let me undo this. So now you can hear,
hey, I'm going to record a file. This is me talking, blah, 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 blah.
So those files all line up the way in a perfect world that I would want them to. And I can do another video of exactly how an entire the process looks for me whenever I'm editing something. But for the sake of today and what we're doing, I am just going to go with what we have, and I'm going to export this file. And I recently got a new laptop for Christmas, yay! But with that, I realized that there was an important step in Audacity that I left out, because I had already done this on my old computer in like June of last year. So I didn't realize I had left this step out. So if you're brand new to Audacity and you have not done anything in it other than save your projects, when you go to export, you're not going to be able to do it. You're just, it's not going to work for you. Like, I can go to export and it works for me, but what you'll have to do is, and we're going to go to the trusty old internet, and this is, and I shared this in our Facebook group, and I will definitely add this in the course, but I am just on the Audacity website, and I typed in plugins because that's what this specific thing is. And I believe it gives you a notification, right, for the lame if you don't have it.
Yes.
Okay. So it'll tell you if you don't have this installed. It won't be a mystery thing, because you won't be able to export anything as an MP3. And just a reminder that you can't upload Audacity files into Buzzsprout. It only takes WAV files or MP3s. So that's just a quick reminder of the difference. But if you go down here, it references the lame MP3 encoding library. And I don't know why you can't get to their, I think it is right here. Okay, yes, you can. So it's like, you know, how do I download it and install it? They give you the step-by-step directions here. And what I opened was the same thing. I just, you know, typed in lame MP3 encoder into Google with Audacity, and this is what came up. And it's the exact same process of installing the lame encoder. And I know this sounds really like technical, like something like what? Like, you know, I thought all I had to have was Audacity, but all this is, it's like the back end of the back end, and you only have to do this once. You won't have to do this again. This is just a one-time thing. Like I said, I did it last year and I totally forgot about this step because I didn't have to do it more than once. So, so does that answer, did I cover everything that we had talked about for that?
Except for the metadata tags.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you have the lame encoder installed, it'll just need to be an installation on your computer. And Nanette had a good question. And by the way, it sounds weird to say that. Nanette is my mom, if you don't know that. So mom had a good question. But so when you go to export, we're going to export this file as an MP3. And I'm going to save it in my little Audacity tutorial file I created. And we're just going to call it test clip. Okay. So, and it says right down here, it's going to save it as an MP3. I hit save. Hang on, this didn't show up. Okay. Now, if you are familiar with SEO and, you know, anything that's online and the way that Google searches things and all these, you know, bots that crawl the internet searching for data, the metadata that you put in here is important in the fact, like if you're working on SEO. However, it's not important for your, like the overall, everything that you're going to put. Like, this isn't your show notes. This is strictly for, again, the back end of the back end. This is what will show up in iTunes when you play something. As far as here, actually, let me show you real quickly what this looks like. Let me pick an episode because I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about, because I don't think this made sense to me until I saw it. So I want you to know. Here, playback. I don't even know what this is. So we're going to play it in the media player. That's not what I wanted. That was a video. But just so y'all know, I talk to myself a lot. I think I had on the same shirt. So.
I think we all do now that we're doing podcasts.
That's even better. Okay, so here is, I'm trying to find one that I did. Okay, let's do Tammy's. Okay, so this is what the metadata looks like. Okay, so all the things that I have put in here, let me get this little box back up here. Move it over. So the things that I put in here, this is the metadata. This is how it shows up. And if I click on this and I were to play it in my media player, make this bigger. See, it doesn't even have it on here. On my other one, it'll show, okay, these are all the other things that I've played, and this is their metadata, basically. It's showing you, like, this is what they've put in, this is the artist, this is their album, this is the title, the track. So that's all that stuff is.
Okay, so...
Oh, do you have a question about that?
Yeah, okay, so where it says Why Not Now with Amy Jo Martin.
Yes.
Would that be the name that's under artist name?
Yes.
Because I know that when we talked earlier, you had said artist name needs to be, for mine, is Edible Gardens Podcast.
Yes. So
if it was under my name, it would be Nanette Blair.
Right. So let me move this over.
And then my other question is where it says track title, that's actually the name of that show.
So let me show you. So the way that I have mine, and I'm going to see if one of mine is in here. Okay. So the artist, see, I think a lot of this is from Buzzsprout, because I don't have Krystal Proffitt on here anywhere. When I enter in this information, I don't put Krystal Proffitt. I put, for the artist name, I put the Rookie Life Podcast. For the album title, I put the Rookie Life Podcast. So let me just show you, this is how I would enter in all the information. We'll call it test clip, if I can spell, the track title, Rookie Life Podcast, this track number 1000, and then 2019. Genre, I always put podcast. And then comments, I don't put anything in that section. Because I mean, honestly, I don't know what that section's for. I've never used it. So I'm just being real. You know, there could be other things in here, but I don't go to like the step of removing it from the, I don't enter it. This is just how I do it.
Okay.
So then I would just click OK. Then it's going to export it, and then it will be then saved as an MP3 file in my folder that I created over here somewhere. Okay. So there it is. That's my test clip, and you can see it's an MP3 file that now I can take this and upload it to Buzzsprout whenever I'm ready.
Okay.
So, let me see, how are we doing? Okay. Can you see me now?
I can.
Okay. So I don't know how we're doing on time. Are you good? I think I want to go ahead and just go straight into our next video. So if y'all want to, y'all can hang around and look up the next video. We're going to talk about the interview thought process and everything that happens. So we will see you in a second.